free to type them in the chat, or we can unmute you at the end. And yeah, so just answering questions while we're talking is kind of hard. So
right. If anybody comes in late, they're going to be let in. Okay. So
cool.
Good?
Yep.
So here we go. So, and by the way, you're welcome to screenshot our recipes or copy stuff down, or we're going to send stuff to the library afterwards if you just want to listen and just enjoy yourself. So authentic ginger ale or ginger beer, it uses something called a ginger bug or a ginger starter. And that's ginger that's fermented in sugar and water. So its natural enzymes and its probiotics are released, and then it's brewed. So you wind up with a very probiotic rich effervescent drink, but this method takes between 4 to 6 weeks. So like if you made it today, like you might be drinking it at Labor Day, and who wants to wait around for a month to drink ginger ale? Like not us.
Yeah. So another way people make ginger ale is by making a simple syrup with ginger and sugar. Sorry. Oh, laptop problems. Oh. Ginger and sugar and water. Then they mix it with seltzer for a little bit of like bubbliness. And that tastes really good, and it's made really quickly. But because it's made so quickly, it doesn't really have much medicinal benefit. So our recipe kind of combines the best of the simple syrup version and the 4 to 6 week version. Our recipe only takes 3 days from start to finish, which are probably like 3 days to make ginger ale. Are you kidding? But almost all of that is it just sitting by itself on the counter. So You're not like working for 3 days on your ginger ale.
No.
So it's not that hard.
No. So we don't dedicate our life to ginger ale like that. No.
So our recipe has health benefits because it's fermented, but since it's not fermented for as long, it's not as probiotic rich as the 4 to 6 week one, but it's still definitely good for you.
Yeah, it is, very, very much so. So the good thing about our recipe, this sounds disgusting, but it's a good thing. The yeast actually consumes the sugar as it reproduces. So even though the finished product tastes sweet, yeah, it's actually very low in sugar content. So like I say, it sounds bad, but that yeast gobbling up the sugar, that's really a good thing. So we thought to talk about the history of ginger ale, because until we were getting ready to do this presentation, I really didn't know too much about ginger ale. So some of it's pretty interesting.
So nobody knows totally for sure when ginger ale became a thing, but it probably started out as a homemade drink in England and Ireland in the 1840s. So it really tasted nothing like modern day ginger ale. I'm sure you've all had some kind of store-bought ginger ale at some point that's all like bubbly and sweet. And this kind didn't really taste like that at all. Mm-hmm. It was more like sugar water with a little hint of ginger. So then it made its way across the Atlantic and came to the East Coast. It was becoming a pretty big thing in New York by the 1850s.
So by 1860s, ginger ale developed into what we now call the golden style. So it was very sweet, had a bubbly texture with a really strong ginger punch. Now there's some conflicting info here, but a company named Werner's claims they were the first ones to actually commercially make ginger ale. But there's a funny story that goes along with this. It seems like everything has a story or a legend, doesn't it? So the story goes that there was a pharmacist named James Werner, and he left an experimental barrel of ginger ale in his barn in Philadelphia in 1862 before he went to join the Union Army. And then in 1866, 4 years later, he came back and he opened up the barrel, and ta-da, the golden style of ginger ale was born. So we have a couple of comments about this, right?
Well, I feel like if I were about to go join an army and join a war, one of the last things I would do would not be make a barrel of ginger ale. So I don't know about that. And also, I think his facial hair is a little much.
Yeah.
Could have used a trim.
Yeah.
Major trim.
Yes.
So around this time, ginger ale was becoming such a big thing that a lot of low quality knockoff brands were coming into play. And a lot of them were just sugar water with a little hint of cayenne, which I'm sure you've all had cayenne and ginger at some point. So I don't know who they thought they were fooling, putting cayenne in there. Like,
I think you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
What we think is funny about this, though, we think knockoffs, like in the city or other places, it's kind of a more modern thing, knocking off, I don't even know what Prada makes or Gucci, whatever those things make, we knock off as a modern thing, but that they were knocking off ginger ale with cayenne, that just kind of cracks me up. So of all the research for this topic, this one interested me the most. So the biggest effect on the development of ginger ale was actually prohibition and the banning of alcohol, which I think you probably know was from 1922 to 1930. So dry ginger ale came to be. It was less sweet. It exploded in popularity in the 1920s. It was very, very popular in speakeasies. And when we have a class for teenagers, we have to explain speakeasies are where people went to drink illegally. This dry ginger ale is really popular at parties, and it was a huge, huge hit with flappers. So dry ginger ale would become the permanent fixture in American grocery stores. That's what we have today. We also found out about a guy named John McLaughlin. So he was the dry ginger ale pioneer, and he began brewing Canada Dry ginger ale in 1907. And he said it had a more sophisticated carbonation, whatever the heck that means, and a dry taste.
So by the 1930s, brands like Coca-Cola were becoming a big thing, and they kind of began to dominate the soft drink market. So for the first time in over 70 years, ginger ale wasn't the #1 drink in this country. And then eventually the golden style of ginger ale, like the kind we're going to teach you how to make today, it kind of got totally pushed out of favor, but we're bringing it back because it's actually really good.
Yeah,
and
it
easy
really
to make.
Yes. So we're going to talk a bit about ginger because, like, I hate to burst your bubble if you buy ginger ale in the grocery store, but in those brands in grocery stores, there isn't any ginger in there. There's some ginger extract. In a health food store, I think probably you could find some true ginger ale, but those ones in the grocery store, no. So we're just going to fill you in on some ginger benefits.
So ginger is related to turmeric and cardamom. There are two plants that I use a lot because they have a really great flavor in some herbal medicine. So it's a warming and decongesting remedy, and I think it tastes pretty good. I would think if you're in this class, you're probably a ginger fan. So it's a great remedy for menstrual cramps. I think a lot of girls and women know that one. Also great for PMS, nausea, motion sickness and seasickness, poor circulation. So like not right now or a few days ago when it was super hot, but if you're one of those people where in the winter, your hands and feet are always cold, ginger can help to regulate that so that doesn't happen anymore. It's also good for respiratory congestion. So I put it in a lot of herbal remedies, especially things like elderberry syrup, just to help with all the benefits. And it gives it a good taste too.
And covers up the smell of elderberry syrup.
Yeah, elderberry syrup has an odd smell, definitely.
Yeah, elderberry syrup's great. We take it all the time. But when you make your own, it's pretty smelly unless you use ginger. Yes.
And it's also good for fungal issues and colds and flu. And also it has antioxidants, which we're going to talk about in a little bit when we get to the vanilla extract, but they help to cleanse the body of toxic chemicals. So also when you ferment ginger in the ginger ale, it helps to release the enzymes and probiotics and great for gut health.
Right. So we'll go over the ingredients. So the ingredients are 1 inch of grated fresh ginger root. So this is grated fresh ginger root. There's 2 items when we go to a grocery store or health food store. There's always 2 that the cashiers never seem to know: ginger root and horseradish. So this is ginger root. I think the hardest part of this recipe is grating the fresh ginger root, but that's probably because we only have this shrimpy grater. We keep saying this. We have to break down and buy a big grater. So 1 inch of this. You need 7 cups of water total, 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And like we said, don't get freaked out about that because the yeast is going to gobble up most of it. 2 tablespoons of lemon juice.
You can use a real lemon or you can just use normal bottled lemon juice is fine too.
We got our Misfits delivery yesterday and we didn't get any lemon, so we're going to use the stuff in the bottle. And then 1/8 of a teaspoon of active dry yeast. Should I tell my dry yeast story?
Sure.
So I don't know about you guys, but throughout this whole lockdown, we never had any trouble finding yeast. But we've done classes in Massachusetts and on Long Island, and apparently it really was hard for people to find it. So we're teaching this class for a bunch of teenagers on Long Island, and we did our whole talk, and at the end we opened it up to questions, and one little girl, she raised her hand and she said, I really, really, really want to make the ginger ale, but there's no yeast anywhere on Long Island. So I said, oh honey, why don't you give me your recipe? I'm like, no, not your recipe, give me your address and I'll mail you a packet of yeast, which I did, and she was happy and all that kind of stuff. But I keep saying, never in a gazillion years did I think I'd be mailing a packet of yeast to a little kid on Long Island so she could make ginger ale during a lockdown. So I think we all have probably good stories about what's happened to this whole thing since March.
Yeah, weird stuff.
That's one of my good ones. So the next question people always want to know is what to make it in. So you could make it in one of those plastic 2-liter soda bottles. The problem is we don't advocate using plastic, and also we don't drink soda, so we don't make it in that. But we make it in, let me lean forward and grab it. We make it in this old honey jar that we have. So you need, whatever you make it in, you need to make it in something that's going to hold 8.5 cups of liquid. And you have to make sure what's going to happen is as the yeast consumes the sugar, it's going to be producing carbon dioxide. I usually screw it up and say carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide. So you need something big enough for the carbon dioxide to expand, whatever it is. And speaking from experience, I can tell you that if you don't use something big enough, you could wind up having an explosion. So here's my story about this one. So when I was a little kid, my mom had the brilliant idea that she and my brother and I should make root beer. So they stupidly put me in charge of measuring the yeast. So obviously, or apparently, I must have measured the yeast wrong, because after we made the root beer, we stored the bottles down in our basement. And about a week and a half later, it sounded like World War III down there, like grenades were going off, like cherry bombs were going off, all kinds of explosions. So what happened was the root beer bottles were exploding. And until pretty recently, my parents' white basement ceiling had all these brown root beer stains on there. So just make sure you use something big enough. We've never had a problem, as I said, because this is really, how big is this thing?
This is a gallon.
There's a gallon container. So if something holds 8.5 cups, you're going to be fine. I mean, don't let it scare you about making this, but just, be careful, right?
So we're going to tell you the recipe, and it seems like a lot of steps at first, but it's really not.
No.
Like once you make it once, you'll be like, okay, not a big deal at all.
We always say we can make it in our sleep.
Yeah. So step 1, in a saucepan, which we just call this, just like a normal pot.
Yeah, we call it a pot.
You're going to put your 1 inch of grated fresh ginger root, a cup of water, and 3/4 of a cup of sugar, and cook over medium heat until the sugar dissolves. And every time we've done this, from like actually putting the flame on under the pot to the sugar dissolving, it's about 5 minutes, so not very long.
And you can tell I taught kids for a long time. So, when it stops making that sound, that's when you know it's all dissolved. But I think you're all intelligent people. You can figure that out. I just still sometimes think I'm teaching kids.
So you remove it from heat and steep covered for an hour, then strain it.
Now, this is one kind of interesting thing. One of the times that we did this, we kind of forgot about straining it, and we let it sit overnight, like probably almost for 24 hours. I think of all the batches we made, that batch kind of tasted the best because it was the most gingery. So don't worry if you let it steep more than an hour. I think that actually is kind of better, but at least give it 1 hour. What do you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Then, in your 2-liter container with a tight thinning lid, you're going to put 6 cups of water, and best is lukewarm or room temperature, just so you don't mess up the yeast.
Okay, we've never yet done this where Eris doesn't spill the water on me. You have to hold this up because obviously you can't see the table that we're using.
Wow, I'm doing okay.
There you are. It's the first. It was on some of those 90-degree days. It was
Wow,
kind of
actually
refreshing,
did a good job.
I gotta
Okay.
say.
So you're going to put the water, the 2 tablespoons of lemon juice.
And sometimes we use real, it depends what we have. We just don't happen to have real lemon right at the moment.
The ginger syrup mixture, which we have all made and cooled. You can see it's a little bit yellow. Smells pretty gingery.
This one sat for maybe 4 hours, would you say?
Yeah.
Oh, it smells good. I can smell from here. No, it's good. It's good.
And then the 1/8 of a teaspoon of yeast. And I'm always like mildly stressed with this because we don't have a 1/8 of a teaspoon measuring thing. So we just use a 1/4.
Every time we
Like
say this, I
half of
think
a
people must be
quarter.
thinking, why don't those people get what do you call it thing? A grater and
Yeah.
an 1/8 of a teaspoon. Yeah,
We
we
should
have
get
to,
one.
but. Okay, then you're just going to put the lid on. Oops, sorry. Put the lid on and you're going to give it a shake to mix. Okay, so then.
So then you're going to leave the container at room temperature for 48 hours. We just put it on our counter.
Right. Now, here's where there's some conflicting info. So the original recipe that we found was from a really, really, really old cookbook. And what it said, well, an herbal book, but same thing. So what it said was that what you should do is 1 to 3 times a day, you should loosen the lid, not take it off, but loosen the lid just to let the carbon dioxide escape. We've done it that way, and we've done it not taking the lid off at all. And I would say the recipe came out exactly the same. So it really didn't make any difference, but we're using a huge container. So, if it looks like it's getting a little carbon dioxide in there, I guess you could actually loosen it up.
Yeah.
Sound good?
We never had an explosion of any sort.
No.
Yeah.
Now should we tell them the other, we don't know how to say this politely part?
Well, you're supposed to refrigerate it and
yeah.
then drink it within 10 days.
Right. So there's no other polite way to explain this next part, but the first time we made the ginger ale, we had it on our counter, and then after about maybe 12 hours, would you say, we were looking inside the container, and in the center, there was this thing, and there's no other way to describe it, but you know when men, including my husband, they do those disgusting spits, I don't know what they're even called, it looked like somebody hauled off and spit right in the middle of the ginger ale, and we were like, did we not wash our hands? Was the jar dirty? Like,
Did somebody spit in it?
I don't know what happened, but so we're like, what is going on here? And as the fermentation, I gave it away there, kept going, the thing kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. When that happens in your ginger ale, that's actually a good thing. That actually means it's fermenting and it's gobbling up all that sugar. So it's a good thing. So then when you give it your final little shake, like this before you put it in your fridge, that disgusting man spit thing just goes away. So don't freak out if you see that. It's a good thing that it's happening.
Yes.
The other thing is, I think sometime, us ourselves included, the first time we made this ginger ale, we thought it was going to taste like that Canada Dry ginger ale that you get in the store. But like, keep in mind, that stuff is not ginger ale at all. This, it's going to have a little bit of fizz, maybe similar to kombucha, would you say? Maybe not even that fizzy.
It's more like a little bit mildly fizzy lemonade with some ginger stuff going on.
Yeah,
so.
It's not going to taste anything like the ginger ale in the store because that's not ginger ale. Actually, it's not even going to have that when you open the lid. But this is what golden ginger ale is supposed to taste like. So don't think that you screwed something up because you didn't. You're making it. That's what golden ginger ale is supposed to be. So get any expectations of what ginger ale is out of your mind, wouldn't you say?
And people have actually emailed us and said this was the best ginger ale they've ever had in their whole lives.
Yeah.
So totally different taste, but it's really good.
We've been doing a lot of these classes, so Eris has been drinking. She's a more ginger fan than I am, so she's been drinking a lot of ginger ale this summer.
Yeah,
so,
I'm a fan.
Yes. So should we move on?
Yes.
Okay, let me move. I'm just going to pop out of here for a second.
So the next thing we're going to do is teach you how to make vanilla and almond extract.
So we always say when you hear about vanilla extract, I think most people think of desserts.
But vanilla has a lot of medicinal benefits. 3 things that it is an antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and mental health booster. So we're going to talk about that more in a bit. But put simply, vanilla extract is a solution made with alcohol and vanilla beans. So when they're submerged in alcohol, the vanilla beans release something called vanillin, which is the major flavor compound in vanilla extract.
Right. So we started making our own vanilla like a long, long time ago. The first reason was because we couldn't, no matter how hard we looked, we couldn't find any vanilla extract that didn't have corn syrup in it, which we don't eat corn syrup. And also it was very hard to find stuff without fake fragrances and fake dyes. But there's even a better reason to DIY your own vanilla. And that's because it's estimated that somewhere between 75 and 90% of vanilla extract that you find in stores, it isn't made with vanilla. It's made with something called lignin, which to me, that's a disgusting word. And what it is, it's a byproduct of paper waste products that they use to create synthetic vanilla. So lignin is actually made from leftover sawdust in paper mills. So if you look at your vanilla bottle, it's not going to say lignin on there, just like all those chemicals. They hide them under some kind of fake name. But there's a good chance, if you didn't make it yourself, that there's lignin in there. So the reason that vanilla extract companies, not even that, claim they do this is that it's very labor intensive to grow vanilla plants. Our thinking is, no, you're doing it because it's a lot cheaper to buy sawdust than it is to buy vanilla. Yeah. So personally, we don't want to be eating lignin. So right. that's why we do it.
So if you do make your own vanilla or you buy good vanilla extract, we're going to tell you where the actual vanilla comes from, not the lignin jazz.
Right.
So the vanilla plant originated in Mexico. It's a flowering vine that can get up to 300 feet long. And the vanilla beans are the dried orchids from the vine.
Right. So history, this is interesting stuff too. So until the 1850s, Mexico was the primary exporter of vanilla. And the Totonac people, they were the native to the East Coast, right? East Coast of Mexico. They seem to be the first producers of vanilla. So there's a legend. Like I said, all these things have a legend or a story. So there's a legend. There was a woman named Princess Zanat, and she was an immortal. And she was forbidden by her father, who was the king, to marry a mortal. So of course, you know what this girl did. She ran off with this mortal guy, and then they were captured and they were beheaded. And apparently where their blood fell to the ground is where vanilla vines were created. So probably not the best like bedtime story for your kid, but like I say, everything has a legend or a story.
Definitely.
So until the 1600s, vanilla was just kind of an add-on to chocolate recipes. Then there was a guy named Hugh Morgan. Don't worry about his name. He's not that, well, he's important, but don't worry about his name. He created chocolate-free vanilla-flavored sweetmeats. And apparently they were a huge, huge hit with Queen Elizabeth I. And then, moving forward, in 1886, right? John Pemberton, the guy who invented Coca-Cola, he went on sale for the first time, and he touted it as an esteemed brain tonic, an intellectual beverage. And vanilla was one of the essential ingredients. So back then, okay, maybe it was an esteemed brain tonic. Coca-Cola today, I'm just gonna bet, I hope I don't get sued, I'm gonna bet they're using the lignin version of vanilla. Yeah, probably. I think so, yeah.
So production of vanilla is very labor intensive and expensive. And that's why vanilla ranks second on the most expensive spices.
Are you all shouting out to us what the number 1 is? Come on, shout it out. Ready? Everybody all together? It's saffron.
Good job. So it's actually kind of a miracle that vanilla even exists, because there's a pollination window for each flower. It's really short. It's only 24 hours. So in the wild, it's pollinated usually by the Melipona bee or by hummingbirds sometimes. And if it doesn't, if they don't pollinate them within a 24-hour period, the vanilla flowers kind of wither and die and fall off the vine, and that's the end of that.
So going back to the history, so then in 1840, a 12-year-old slave boy who lived in a French settlement in the Indian Ocean, kind of near Madagascar, he figured out how to pollinate orchids by hand. Why some grown-up couldn't figure this out, I have no idea. But here we're going up with the stories and the legends. But within 60 years, his settlement and neighboring Madagascar and the Comoros Islands, they wound up producing about 80% of the world's vanilla. So today, vanilla is produced mainly in the islands and countries around the Indian Ocean, around the South Pacific, around the West Indies, and Central and South America. And Mexico, where vanilla got its start, really is just a very, very small exporter of vanilla today. So I kind of said before that vanilla has a lot of medicinal benefits, and we thought we'd talk about some of the main ones. The main one is that vanilla is an antioxidant. But I think antioxidant is one of those words where it's really trendy. People are always throwing it around. People like Dr. Oz are always saying things are antioxidant. But I think it's like a buzzword, and a lot of people don't really know what are you talking about when you talk about antioxidant. But I think Eris, in her herbal wisdom, has figured out a pretty clear way to explain it, I think. I like the way you say it.
Thanks. So in today's world, it's pretty hard to avoid free radicals, which come from stuff like eating a lot of fried food, inhaling tobacco smoke, drinking a lot of alcohol, and also being around pesticides and chemicals. And those, like, even if you're you live like pure lives like we do.
Joyce says this, and we sound like a couple of nuns, don't we? Like,
I mean, like, we don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't eat junk,
we don't swear,
we don't use any kind of pesticides or chemicals in our house.
Let's just say we're kind of clean. We're not like pure. Well,
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But anyway, even if you're like us, you're not totally safe from these free radicals, because even if you don't use any chemicals in your house or your yard, you might go outside and your neighbor just sprayed their trees or sprayed their lawn or sprayed like Roundup. So, and that's kind of getting into the air, unfortunately.
Right. So
that free radical damage is also called oxidative stress, and that can cause some long-lasting damage and diseases and just all kinds of health issues. So antioxidants are cool because they can like kind of block that free radical stuff from getting into your body, or they slow down the damage that it can do to your cells and your body and just keep you in better health overall.
Right.
Now, I would say throughout all of history, people could have used that stuff, but especially now, because there's so much junk and pollutants and bleh.
Right. Good. You're talking about vanilla?
Oh, and sorry. So vanilla, I was talking about before, vanillin is the major flavor compound in vanilla. So there have been studies from a while ago that showed that vanillin has a very high antioxidant activity level, but new studies are showing that vanilla extract actually has a higher antioxidant level than just the vanillin. So it's actually really good for you.
Right. So you get it. This is why we thought it's important for you to know about this so you can be taking it. But anyway, we'll keep going. So vanilla is also very antibacterial. So if we don't get cold sores, but if you're one of those, a person who gets cold sores, what you can do is you can take a cotton ball, dip it in some real vanilla extract, and then dab it on your cold sore about 4 times a day. And it's like remarkable how fast a cold sore will clear up. And what I think is even more important is you're not putting some creepy prescription or some creepy chemical onto your skin, which is obviously then going into your body.
And it's also a diaphoretic. So in herbal world, a diaphoretic is an herb that helps your body kind of sweat out a fever, like raises your body temperature to get that junk out of you. So I'm sure you know that a low-grade fever is a sign that your body is trying to fight something off and get something out of your body. So a diaphoretic herb can help with that. So it's been a very common folk remedy. Vanilla extract has been a very common folk remedy for that for a while. But if you're not sick and you don't have a fever, it's not going to raise your temperature or anything. It's like a lot of herbs kind of know what's going on with your body and they kind of respond accordingly. So,
right.
Yeah.
And I think the thing we always forget to talk about is the taste. Like once I wouldn't say we tried every vanilla out there, but once you've made your own vanilla extract, you're going to be amazed, like, wow, that's what I thought vanilla extract was supposed to taste like. And I remember being a little kid and thinking, man, I wish that vanilla extract tasted the way vanilla smells. And the stuff that you make yourself, I'd say it almost does. Wouldn't you say? It doesn't have that weird taste like vanilla extract does from the store.
And it smells so good too. And also every time you make it, you kind of touch the vanilla beans and then your hands smell like vanilla forever.
No, it's a
really
good
nice.
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So to make your vanilla extract, so you need an 8-ounce glass bottle or jar. So we make it in a jar like this. I think you can see it pretty well. You need 6 to 8 vanilla beans. Now here's where sometimes people get a little, I don't want to say freaked out, but they they get concerned because when you look for vanilla beans, like we get them on Amazon because it's just easiest, they're kind of expensive. But keep in mind, you're going to be making an 8-ounce jar of vanilla. The stuff you buy in the store is a 1-ounce bottle of vanilla. So 8 ounces is a lot of vanilla. And also keep in mind, the vanilla that you're going to be making actually has medicinal benefits compared to that lignin corn syrup stuff in the store. You're also going to need liquor, something that's 70 proof. So we recommend vodka or rum or bourbon or brandy. What happens is that we don't drink, but we have a lot of Grounded Goodwife BYOB events where people just leave liquor behind. So today we're going to be using brandy because that's just what we happen to have. But we've used all of these liquors, haven't we? We've used them all. And what's kind of nice is that the liquor that you use is going to kind of influence the taste of the vanilla. So they're all going to be a little bit different. The only thing we would suggest not doing is grain alcohol, because that's just like too much. Don't use grain alcohol. So like I say, we're going to use brandy today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So the recipe is really simple, not stressful at all.
No.
So step 1, you're going to slice each bean along the length of the entire pod. Then depending on the size of the bottle, you can also cut the pods in half to make them fit in the bottle.
Right.
So obviously these vanilla beans are taller than the jar. So that's why you just cut them in half so they fit in the jar.
I think we should also talk about, there's one show. Like, I think a lot of people think that vanilla beans are stiff. They're not. They're very bendable. They bend kind of like pipe cleaners, although as you know, you can't say pipe cleaner anymore. You have to call them a chenille stem, but they're very bendable. They're not these stiff things I think sometimes people think that they are.
Mm-hmm.
So here's where I take my life in my hands, because I'm going to hold this cutting board up by my throat. Eris is going to cut the vanilla bean with a knife.
I'm pretty responsible cutting things like at normal level, but up
this
high,
might
I don't know.
You could be seeing my final Zoom presentation here. So.
Okay, so you're just gonna kind of slice it along the whole length of the pod because you don't want to.
Martha Stewart doesn't go through this stuff.
No.
Okay.
You don't want to put it in whole because the stuff that's really flavorful is the stuff in the middle.
Right.
So then.
Well, should we come clean and tell them the real thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're really into doing things obviously well in the right way, but not the annoying, complicated way that's kind of like
for instance, with our kimchi class, we found a very easy way to make kimchi. Where if you look at kimchi recipes, it's such a big, drawn-out process. Or Eris has really streamlined how to make kombucha, or like for instance, our bone broth. You're supposed to cook bone broth for 72 hours. We figured out a way to do it in 2 hours, but you get all the medicinal benefits. And the reason we believe in doing stuff like that way is because the whole idea is you're supposed to be taking vanilla every day, kimchi or some kind of fermented thing every day, bone broth every day. But if it's like, ugh, I have to make the stupid vanilla, or ugh, I have to make the bone broth, you're never going to keep it up, and therefore you're not going to do it. So we just have figured out ways to streamline it where you're getting just as many medicinal benefits, but it's not making it crazy. So Harris's point is,
well, so if you want to do it that way, slicing it and then cutting it in half, throwing it in the bottle, that's totally fine. But I'm a big fan of scissors. Especially when you're making herbal medicine, it's like my favorite thing to cut stuff up with scissors.
Scissors are burning stuff. We burn a lot of stuff. If we want to be done with something, we burn a lot.
So I'm a big fan of taking the vanilla bean and just like cutting it with scissors into little pieces.
You can't really see what you're doing, but you're cutting them about, I would say they're about 1/4 of an inch pieces. And you're getting the exact same benefits, but I think you're eliminating some in the next steps there.
So obviously you can get the idea. We're not going to make you watch us do 5 more vanilla beans like this, but in real life we would do 5 vanilla beans in there.
Right.
Or 6 to 8, sorry.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Okay.
Let me lean forward and grab the liquor. Okay.
You're going to pour 1 cup of alcohol into the bottle, and the beans should be under the alcohol, which I don't know how they would not be under the alcohol, so like, don't worry about that.
Right.
So this is the fun step, where if you're using an 8-ounce jar, you don't have to measure the alcohol. Isn't that exciting?
Someone's been locked down too long. If you think not having to measure a cup is
but
fun.
You save a measuring cup, so it's like mildly fun. But yeah, I have been in lockdown too long.
Yeah, we all have. So like I said, you're making a lot of vanilla here. A lot.
Okay.
Good. So then obviously you would have all the other vanilla beans in there. And we'll do it up after we leave you guys. Then you put the lid on. And then, and then get ready to wait. Because good vanilla extract takes about 8 weeks to fully mature. So you're going to store the bottle at room temperature, obviously not in direct sunlight. Then you're going to shake the bottle about once a week.
So then when it's done, you can remove or leave in the vanilla beans. If you leave them in, it'll just get more vanilla-y over time. We like to strain it and then put it in these dropper bottles, just because it's easier if you're putting it in like whatever you're making, whatever recipe you're making. It's just easier to use a dropper bottle than just unscrew the jar.
To take it from here, yeah. And we have to say that people love, especially in the holistic world, they love, love, love getting something like this as a gift. So if you're thinking about any holiday gifts, a bottle of vanilla with a nice bow on it, like that's really great. We needed for a kombucha class we needed an extra SCOBY. So the woman who gave us a SCOBY, we gave her a bottle of vanilla. I keep saying, you would have thought we gave this lady like a $50,000 lottery ticket. She was so excited because usually people in the holistic world, I don't know, people just don't make stuff for you because they just don't, you know? So really, this is a great, 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 great gift. What do you say? Yeah, okay.
So next up, we're gonna teach you how to make almond extract.
So skinless raw almonds work the best. If they're not skinned, what happens is your almond extract is gonna kind of turn an amber color. Where for us, we don't care, who cares what the color is. But a lot of people who are almond extract aficionados, which apparently they really are, they say if you leave the skins on, it turns out a little bit more bitter. So it's easy to find raw almonds with skins in a grocery store or health food store, but it's pretty hard, almost impossible to find raw ones that are skinned. But Eris, in her herbal wisdom, has figured out how to do it.
So it's actually pretty easy. To peel almonds, you bring a pot of water to a boil, throw your almonds in, and let the almonds sit in the boiling water for a minute. Then you strain them into a colander and just peel them with your fingers.
But you have to watch out because they really kind of want to shoot around the kitchen, and they really are slippery little buggers, which could be another fun lockdown activity, but I don't think you want almonds shooting around your kitchen.
Probably not.
No.
So to make almond extract, it's pretty easy. Ready?
Yeah.
You need 6 to 8 whole raw almonds.
That's it. 6 to 8.
Yeah, I thought you needed like thousands of them.
Yes.
For a thing. So skinless and roughly chopped.
Now roughly chopped, that just means like one almond cut into maybe 4 pieces. Like don't go crazy. You don't have to.
8 ounces of alcohol. So again, brandy, rum, vodka, whatever, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And another 8-ounce glass jar with a tight fitting lid.
Right. Just like that. This is what we use. I mean, we buy these by the case pretty much. What we do. Yeah, we buy a lot of these.
So to make it, step 1, you put your almonds in the bottle or the jar.
Don't blink. Don't blink. This recipe's going to be over in 4 seconds.
Pour the alcohol over the almonds. And again, it'd be a cup, or if you use an 8-ounce jar, just pour it to the top. I'm actually like I'm holding something, but I'm not. Then step 3, put the lid on and close it tightly.
Yes.
Then put the jar in a cool, dark place and let it sit for 8 weeks, shaking it once a week. Then strain it through a cheesecloth or a coffee filter. And we'd like to put it in these dropper bottles just because it's easier to use it and it looks nice.
Mm-hmm. And once again, people love this for gifts. They really, really do. And you can make other kind of extracts. Like for instance, we're not really into mint, but like we have a lot of mint in our garden, and you could make a nice mint extract now. Eris, want to talk about how you make lemon extract?
Yeah, lemon extract, it's pretty easy. You just take a lemon and take off the peel. Not
peeling it, but you have to peel it with a knife. You have to,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's more than just, I don't think you do with a peeler, do you? No. I think you need a knife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure you figure out how to take the peel off the lemon.
Right.
But then
my point is, you're not doing lemon zest. You're doing the whole peel.
So you're going to throw the lemon peel in a jar like this, like an 8-ounce jar, and then pour a cup of alcohol over it. Let it sit for a month or 2 months. I would say 2 months is better. Mm-hmm. And then strain it, and then that's lemon extract.
Same thing, orange extract. We had someone in the class a couple weeks ago, and she said she was going to make coconut extract. So that sounded kind of cool too. So I think what we'll do now is we'll unmute you. So you can either ask us questions or type us questions or go work in your garden, go jump in your pool, whatever you want to do.
Feel free to put on your video if you can, but I don't know.
I always figure if you don't put on your video, that means you're sitting around watching us in your pajamas or maybe naked or something. I don't know. But so what I was going to say was that we're liking these Zoom classes, but just like all of you, we want our real lives back. And it's much more fun when we can have the interaction. So, yes. We're all making the best of it. We understand all that. So anybody have any questions for us?
One, will you send the recipe later? Yes, we will. We'll send it to the library and they can send it off to you.
Right.
Lisa said, love misfits.
Yeah, misfits. Yeah. If you haven't done misfits, we get Misfits every week. We get the large box. We just make it for and then we've done enough orders. I don't know why I'm giving them. I don't work for Misfits, but we've gotten to the point now where we've done enough orders where we can actually pick what we want to get. So yeah, we highly, highly, highly recommend Misfits. Yeah.
GFS always has yeast in stock. I don't
know what GFS is, but maybe it's something near you guys. Something near you guys. That's what I love about this. We were doing a kimchi class like in New Haven or something, right? And they were all talking about, oh yeah, you can go to the Korean market on blah 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 street. It was kind of cute when people share this stuff.
Nora said, how do I sign up for more of your classes? This has been great.
Oh,
that's
good.
Nice.
Well, if you here's one type of thing.
Yes.
So if you go to our website is groundedgoodwife.com, we have our calendar of events, and you can sign up there. Are we back at this library anytime soon?
I don't think so yet.
I don't think it. I'm sure they'll have us back.
Yeah, we've been to your library a lot in real life.
Yeah. Yes. We watched your whole renovations right from the start, right?
Are your classes recorded so we can watch previous ones? No, but if we do have a YouTube channel where we have videos of making other stuff, but we have tons of Zooms coming up, so you can come to a live one if you like.
Right.
Any particular type of ginger? No, like I know there's different kinds of ginger, but we just buy like the
stuff you find at a health food store or a grocery store. This is just, yeah, and that's what I mean. We try and keep things just, you can definitely experiment with it. I think it'd be kind of fun to do that. Yeah. Yes.
Thank you so much for the workshop. Very informative, concise, and also fun.
Oh,
thanks.
Good. Thank you. Nice. Thanks very much. So otherwise, we hope you have fun fermenting and extracting.
Yeah.
And we want to see you in real life. And,
do you peel the skin before grating the ginger? Wow. Do you peel the ginger? Whoa, two of the same kind of questions. We're not really into peeling things because a lot of herbalists believe that the peel is part of the immune system of the plant when it's growing. So we include the peels and everything, but if that grosses you out, definitely feel free.
We've noticed when we teach our firesider class, in real life, same thing. We talk about, we don't peel the onions or the garlic or the apples, but some people we can see that really it's really, really hard for them not to. So if it really bothers you, peel it. We don't really ever peel anything, I would say, would you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We taught a thing about zucchini the other day. And what was the thing? How much of the benefits were in the peel? I forget what it was. Remember? It was a lot. Yeah. So the peel's there for a reason. So yeah, we always have a big bags of onion peels and garlic peels in our freezer because we throw them in our bone broth. So yeah, peels are beneficial. But if it bothers you, peel it. Like, we're not the bosses.
Can you use any kind of sugar?
Well, you can't use something. This is the same thing with the one talking about with kombucha. Yeah, with
kombucha, you use white sugar. You can use like more organic white sugar, but people have tried to use honey or agave or stevia, and that really doesn't work. So I would say as long as some kind of granulated sugar.
For the fermentation, perhaps, you could probably use brown sugar, I guess. But for the fermentation process, we're not advocates of white sugar. Believe me, we don't use it really at all. But I don't think honey would work in terms of fermentation, from what we understand. So, and really, the sugar content is so low. Just like in kombucha, talk about kombucha compared to orange juice.
When kombucha is done, 1 cup of it has about 4 to 6 grams of sugar, and a cup of orange juice has like 24 grams of sugar. So it's really not much at all.
No, so it seems like a lot going in, but the fermentation really gobbles up a lot of it.
Another comment. Thank you very much. It was just great. Looking forward for more.
Oh, good.
Charlene said, since you don't peel it, is it best to use organic ginger? Yes, we recommend organic ginger.
Everything.
If you can find it.
If you can find it. But there again, don't go crazy. It's better to have any kind of ginger than no ginger. Right. So hopefully we want to get our house back open and back to our house tours and our events here. So hopefully we'll see you here soon. Like we all want this to end. Right? We're ready for this to be over.
Yeah. In the meantime, you can have ginger ale.
That's right. So I guess I was gonna say good night. It's really like good afternoon, right? So thanks for joining us. Happy extracting and happy fermenting.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll send the recipes to the library right now.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you
Very much. Bye.
Thank you.